Hello, everybody, and thank you for coming out and listening and watching, of course, the Real Short Box Live. Again, my name is Donald. The gentleman to my, you'll probably see him on my right, is Darren. Just below me is Kevin, and to the, there we go, geez. In the corner below Darren is Jarrett. So, thank you guys for joining. Yeah, you can dance in between those two guys in the background there. There you, yeah, perfect. We're going to be talking SNL greats. So while I do some setup, I'm going to have the gents get the ball rolling here with a few guys that didn't and gals that didn't quite make the list, but are noteworthy nonetheless.
All right. You know, guys, I'm going to start off with a gentleman who spent only one season on SNL, and that's Robert Downey Jr.
Isn't that crazy?
A lot of people forget about that.
85, right?
It was the one season when Lorne Michaels left, right? That's what I believe it was. Lorne Michaels actually left SNL for a season, and they revamped it, and they brought in maybe the weirdest, most interesting cast as far as perspective now, like hindsight 2020. But Robert Downey Jr., Anthony Michael Hall, Jim Belushi, right?
Yep.
It was a weird. Was that Julia Louis-Dreyfus in that one too? I think.
Yeah.
Just a weird cast. Didn't last long, and then Lorne came back, and it kind of went back to the SNL that we know.
Yeah,
but that Robert Downey Jr. guy did a couple things later on, I think.
Well, it's kind of interesting too, because I mean there are some odd cast choices. Like for example, Michael McKean had a relatively full career,
and then
went to join the cast of SNL. Like I'm like, this is. I mean, he's not. You know, he's not a megastar, but he's very well known.
Right.
And I'm like, it was in the mid '90s, I want to say, and I'm like, what the heck is this guy doing on SNL? You feel like it's kind of beneath him.
He was great as he was a devil in one of the little skits. I think it had to do with like it was Sense and Sensibility or some shit like that. It was a Christmas episode or something. Michael McKean was great in it, and that's about all I remember him being great in. Like he did.
And he had already done Spinal Tap, and I mean, like he was like a legend already. Like it was weird. Yeah.
Right.
And Mark McKinney, right, from Kids in the Hall, came on.
Yeah.
Right. At some point, Kids in the Hall was already like well established, and I think they were on a hiatus kind of thing, but he was a member.
That's happened actually quite a bit, because if you think about it, SCTV came before it. Like I think Martin Short was on that before he jumped onto SNL for like a year for a season. So he's another one. Like Martin Short's huge. His name is huge. He's done everything.
And I mean, personally, I think he's great. I love Martin Short.
Yeah,
and,
me too. He just didn't make the list because he was a blip, you know?
Yeah, and we were talking about getting him on the list, but yeah, he was one season. So kind of weird.
Well, if you're going to put him on the list, I mean, you almost have to put Steve Martin, who's not a regular cast member, but what would SNL have been in the beginning without Steve Martin?
Right. Yeah, he kind of carried it on his back a little bit.
And I think they said next to Alec Baldwin, he's hosted the most, or right under Alec Baldwin.
Him and, believe it or not, Justin Timberlake.
Really?
Yeah, he's done it a bunch now. He's caught way up.
John Goodman's got to be up there, too. He's hosted a bunch.
Oh, yeah, John Goodman's one of my favorite.
Oh, yeah. So I don't know if you guys remember the original episode of Saturday Night Live, but you remember when they had a little appearance by an unknown comedian named Andy Kaufman?
That's true.
Right.
Yeah, that was back in 1975.
Yep. Guys, I've posted, by the way, so you should be able to see that on your timeline now.
All right, let me take a look.
Or on my timeline, so to speak.
It's always on your time. Fine.
I know, right? I'm so great. Now we just wait for people to join us. It looks like we've got already 3 people popped in. So hello, everybody. Hey TJ, how you doing? Hey Enrique, thanks for joining. Arm Fall Off Boy, good to have you. Thank you for coming in.
Oh, gentlemen.
This is gonna be a good one, guys. This is gonna be epic. Like, this is gonna be a lot of fun.
It might cause a riot among the faithful.
By the way, this is sponsored by McLeod Ale. It's not really, but I say it is because that's what I have in my hand. But I just want you to go there if you're in the LA area and have a beer, because I don't want them to go out of business, because they're a great little brewery.
And another place I don't want to go out of business is Coors Banquet. As I said before offline, the beer of Johnny Lawrence.
You know what always was kind of humorous to me? So SNL has had a ton of musical guests over the years, and the audience always claps with the utmost enthusiasm at the beginning and the end, no matter how good or how bad some of the performances are. Like, I mean,
they're told to. They know.
That's very true. That's very true. There's some awful performances.
I mean, they were clapping for Ashley Simpson, for crying out loud.
Because they were told to.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny when they'll put, like, you know, you'll get some really good acts that come there, but I love when they put, like, a small little, like, known metal band or, like, you know, an alternative band they'll put on there that just is loud. They don't sing well. They're awful. And people are like, woo, yeah! And then the first song is always, like, something you know, and the second song is like, oh, my God, what is that?
Although I remember watching us at a sleepover, the SNL live, when the Sinead O'Connor thing happened.
Oh, I remember that.
And that was dead silence. That was the most awkward transition ever.
We're like little kids when that happened. I remember that was controversial.
That's not a good look.
I think she didn't get invited back ever again. I think
she did not.
Kicked off.
I think Roseanne Barr got barred at some point too, I think, or something like that.
Roseanne Barr got barred.
No pun intended.
Yeah, or was it Roseanne Arnold at the time? I don't remember. Who knows? Hey, Bonnie. Hey, Maria. Thanks, guys, for joining us tonight.
Thank you. Yeah, we appreciate it.
TJ says, we're all rioted out after the Tim Burton episode. TJ, I can completely understand that. Last week, you know, was Pixar. The week before was Tim Burton. Now we're doing SNL. I mean, we're hitting you boom, boom, boom. This is the trifecta of terror, so to speak, when it comes to intensity and lists.
Yeah, now, there's some people that wouldn't make the list, and it's interesting because we had we of course chose many cast members from the original Not So Ready for Primetime Players, but one who did not make our list, which, by the way, we're going to ferociously be fighting with each other all night about this list. One, though, not the original cast, Jane Curtin, who is the original Conehead.
Right.
Yep.
She didn't make our list, which is interesting. You know, I don't want to sit here and pretend Jane Curtin blows people away, but also, too, at the same time, you know, I mean, she's kind of, you know, comedy royalty, whether we want to accept it or not. And I was a little surprised not to see her, much like Garrett Morris, who is the original African-American cast member on Saturday Night Live.
I think that he's so not really memorable. Like, I just don't... I could be wrong, but I don't remember any, like if you think back to that time, you think of scenes like with Dan Aykroyd and in Chevy Chase, and then you think, you know, these really iconic moments. But Garrett, I just never...
Now the question is, though, aside from, you know, a gentleman we'll talk about later, was it the writing? You know, was it that there was a bunch of maybe white writers who didn't know how to write for a black person? You know, or
could be possible, but
Garrett's career never really went crazy either. Like,
no.
But what was interesting, I'll tell you, like, he was on Two Broke Girls as a regular cast member at like the age of 82.
Right.
Wow. Yeah, he was one of the older cast members, I recall, being on there, and you know, it's been a long time. Saturday Night Live's been on for forever.
He paid his dues, you know.
By the way, we're already getting people clamoring for Phil Hartman. Jill, Kevin, Darren, Jill just popped on, and she's asking for Phil Hartman, and I said, just wait.
If Jarrett's on a podcast, Phil Hartman will be mentioned. Don't worry.
Yeah. Now, I initially, the way that we did this audience, I initially sent these guys a top 10 list with like 23 or with like maybe 14, 15 additional people. And I'm telling you, the more I review everything, me personally, I'm sticking to my list, and I will defend those people that maybe got popped out of the top 10. But we have some very interesting people, and I just want you to know Phil Hartman was not in my original top 10. And I love Phil Hartman.
How you start fights?
I love him, but you know what? Hey, it's tough. You kind of have to go with your feelings, and you have to go with the data. Like, you have to look at these people's resume and see what happened.
Yeah.
After they left.
Oh, Julio popped on. He says, "Gentlemen, hello, Julio. Thanks for joining."
Thank you, Julio,
everybody,
for joining us.
By the way, say hello to my mother. She just joined us.
Oh,
hi, Mother McKinney.
Hi, Mom. I'm sorry I didn't call today, Mom. I got a flu shot and had to get some blood work and all kinds of fun stuff, just general checkup stuff. But that waylaid me for hours because protocols and fun things that happen now in the world that we don't
Code purple, run!
need to discuss. Yeah. So let's actually dive right in, since we have plenty of people watching. So let's go ahead and dive in. We are going to be ranking SNL greats.
Want to bring the intros?
Please do.
All right. Ready? Welcome, everyone, officially to the Real Short Box, the most righteous, spacious, most lovely podcast on planet Earth today. First, let me introduce the man who's the Sultan of Youngstown, Ohio. He is the prognosticator and the man of truth. He is the man with the plan, the debonair of modern-day masculinity. He is simply known as Darren. Next, he is the chairman and CEO of the Real Short Box. He is an intimate lover of Silver Age comics. He is the hot rod of pop culture. He has a beard that's fluffy and the ladies love it on him. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the 1997 Mr. Teen Ohio. He is the original Donald.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And last but not least, he is an international man of mystery. He was the 2018 Central California Dad of the Year.
Wow.
He is the fool killer of ignorant people everywhere. He is the man who adores and loves Bronze Age comics. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you sweet white chocolate. He is simply Jared.
Yeah!
And of course, I am your humble podcaster, the Grand Master of the Jedi and Vulcan Arts, your Supreme Chancellor, Dr. Kevin.
Well, that's a fabulous intro. Well,
Yes.
I hope y'all are ready, because we have a lot of Saturday Night Live we're going to dig into tonight.
Yeah.
Did we kind of settle that the topic is essentially actors, our favorite actors who started on SNL?
Basically, we're just, since we've got them ranked, I just put in that we're ranking SNL greats. And there's a lot of factors that went into that. So it's, not just who we personally preferred, but also based on the data as far as like how their career trajectory went, how they diversified their portfolio, so to speak. Some of them went on to music careers, stand up, all kinds of different things. So one of them even has his own vodka line. So it just it depends on a lot of these factors that we've put together to create a success story for these guys. So that's what I was going with that, Darren. I think it's the same thing that we're talking.
Yeah. Get ready for 2 hours of just us talking about and gushing over Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah, who did not make the list, by the way.
Really? See, I that's the biggest robbery I've heard since Chris Kattan.
How dare you disrespect the host of The Tonight Show?
I will say that
Baby, don't hurt me.
Jimmy Fallon picked up kind of where Adam Sandler left off for a moment. He picked the guitar up and tried to continue on that path. And he was the guy that always broke down in every scene, like laughing. You couldn't get him to stop laughing. And that was always funny to watch. So while I enjoyed him then, Jimmy Fallon, talk show host, not so much. Like, he's not my jam. And that's a great career for somebody that wants a steady paycheck and likes to talk and interview people, and that's awesome. And I have no problem with that. But there's no upward trajectory after that. He kind of tried a few movies, didn't do anything, and then went into the talk show host world. And that's where he's at. And that's fine. And that would put him probably at 23 or 24 on the list, something like that. But not, like, super high on any list for me anyway.
Yeah, and one name I want to mention, and I don't want to do this because we could do this all night, but, like, the fact that Rob Schneider is nowhere to be found on our list is really abysmal, because
it's hard.
Rob Schneider's one of the few cast members who was actually leading movies. Like, people were putting money in his movies.
Absolutely.
The Animal, The Hot Chick, Deuce Bigalow, which I love Deuce Bigalow.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, Schneider in Necessary Roughness, Judge Dredd, I mean, how could you people?
Rob Schneider would have been on my list. He's also half Filipino and
right.
half Anglo-Saxon, white? I don't know. But, there's some diversity there with Rob, too, which is great. And I love him. I loved him as Sylvester Stallone. I thought if he could be Sylvester Stallone's sidekick in every film, I'd be completely happy with that. Like, just harassing him in real life, too. Like, following him down the street and hanging out with him, doing whatever.
There was
great
one sketch that I will say Rob Schneider nailed. I'm not a huge Rob Schneider fan, but I will say The Sensitive Naked Man was such a good sketch.
I liked Orgasm Guy myself.
Oh, Orgasm Guy was good too.
What about You Like the Juice?
Yes. Yeah, he had a lot of classics, a lot of really good juicy roles for Rob. So he should have been high on the list. Unfortunately, there's a lot of other things on here that kind of jostled him around a little bit and put him just past that mark. And you'll see why and how. But we've got some comments already. We stumbled upon a bunch of comments. Julio says Kevin is bi-weekly. So I put that up above Kevin's picture, so we're good there. Pete says black licorice with exclamation marks. So nice to see you, Pete. Thanks for joining us. Arm fall off boy says party all the time. Agreed.
Nice.
Pete says
video.
Fuck Jimmy. So we see how people are loving Jimmy. And that's Jimmy Fallon, not Jimmy Monte, who is new, I think, to the podcast here and has just joined us.
Jimmy. It's a buddy of mine. What's up, Jimmy?
And he's saying hi. We weren't talking about you, so we're not saying to fuck you, Jimmy Monte. I don't want you to go away thinking that. So thank you for joining us. We appreciate it very much. Jill says, once Jimmy Fallon tousled Trump's hair, I never liked him again.
Yes.
That's true.
That's
a big one.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
He humanized Trump, which I think a lot of people got angry about.
Well, you have to understand, you have to play it down the middle, much just like his predecessor did, Jay Leno.
I think, I agree. I think Leno would have done the same thing. It's just that he wasn't there, so he's not catching the heat.
Yeah, Carson, of course, was the best at this.
Well, of course.
Pete says he thinks Pete Davidson is funnier. Pete, I don't know who this Pete Davidson is, but he's probably somebody that I wouldn't scrape off the bottom of my shoes if I stepped on him.
He's going to be in the Suicide Squad in a small part. You've seen him.
Yeah, I know. I don't like him.
He's Pete Davidson.
I don't like the cut of his jib. I will say, though, he probably has, like, a big dick, because the women he lands, shit, have you seen that?
Good Lord, man.
I'm just keeping it real here. Keeping it real on this podcast, guys.
Yeah, you certainly are.
He's a good listener.
Sorry, Mom. I know you're listening.
Donald, why don't you send him an email and ask him?
Julio,
let's get to this list.
Julio says Norm Macdonald. Yes, Julio, that we'll discuss. Copy Machine Guy says Pete. Yes. Jimmy says Eddie Murphy, my fave. Hi, LOL, no problem. All right, Jimmy, I'm glad we're okay. We've made amends here. But we're gonna get started. So let me pull up our number 21/22. We're gonna do it at the same time, and I'm gonna pull up the first name on that list of 21 and 22. That's going to be Mr. John Lovitz that you'll see there in the middle of the screen. And yes, And our other actor we're going to put right by him is Mr. Kevin Nealon.
Oh, so basically, like, my take on this is I really love Kevin Nealon on Saturday Night Live. I feel like his career afterwards is extremely forgettable. I actually found him to be very funny on the Weekend Update. And John Lovitz, probably a little low for me on the list. John Lovitz, I think, has some iconic roles and some underrated work. High School High is a very funny movie.
Rat Race.
Of Dangerous Mind. I really enjoy the TV show The Critic, the animated show. And just little small parts, like in The Wedding Singer, he's hysterical in his one scene.
He's also really good, Darren, in Holy Moly. He's in Holy Moly 2 right now.
Okay.
You can catch that on Hulu. He is an amazing putt-puttist. Like, I don't know how else you say it, but he will putt-putt blindfolded over a body of water and sometimes get a hole-in-one. Like,
wow.
Dressed as a pirate, of course. So this is John Lovitz's life now.
Kevin Nealon's an odd duck, too. He was... He had a good recurring role on the show Weeds for a while. He was great on that.
A lot of Adam Sandler.
Yeah, he's got not a podcast, a YouTube show that was actually really good. Of course, it had to take a hiatus because of COVID, but it was like Hiking with Kevin Nealon. And pretty much he would just have comedians or other people, and they'd just go on a hike and talk. And it was just cool to see people in the outdoors shooting the shit.
That's right, Mom. John Lovitz is also in My Stepmother is an Alien. I forgot about that. Got to get some of that pie. Yes,
or
that
Mom and Dad
pie.
Save the World. I mean, he's been around. And John, really good part on Friends, the TV show.
Yeah. So these guys have a lot of talent, and they're good at what they do. Kevin Nealon and both John Lovitz do stand-up occasionally. I personally went to one of Kevin Nealon's stand-up shows. I thought it was great. He did an excellent job. And I hammed it up really good, like going like, even, when nothing was funny. And you guaranteed then I made that DVD because I bought it and I'm on it doing the exact. So if you ever want to get on somebody's stand-up special, you just have to ham it up like a son of a bitch. They'll find you.
Doesn't John Lovitz have his own like comedy store somewhere out here in LA?
Yeah, Universal City.
He did, yeah.
Yes.
He did for a while. Okay, so let's move on then. We're going to go to number 20 on the list. And I believe, Kevin, you were pushing for this guy. Number 20. And if it wasn't you, it was Maria. I can't remember who was pushing for him. I think maybe it was Maria.
Let's see.
Let me pull this up. And I thought, you know what? You're right. Because his career, he's done good for himself so far. And that would be Bill Hader. And you can see him in the middle of our screen here. Right there. Bill Hader, anybody have any comments on him?
I mean, he does a voice in Inside Out. He's great in that. I don't really like Bill Hader as a lead. I like him a lot as a supporting. His role in Forgetting Sarah Marshall, what he does with that stupid like Zoom backgrounds and stuff, that's really funny stuff. And I feel like his show Barry, it's not my cup of tea, but it's very interesting and it's very cool.
Let's be honest, Darren. He's no Will Forte, who I would have had on this list personally, but sadly he did not make it. MacGruber alone deserves to be on this list, but Bill Hader took the spot, and that's fine. I'll live with it.
Well, Will Forte can hang back with Jason Sudeikis.
He can stand in front of him in line. Jason can stand just behind him.
So, Bill Hader, everybody.
Yep. Love him or hate him. Yeah.
I think he was a cop in Superbad.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was great in that, actually. He was really good in that. We're going to go to 19. Now, I really, really pushed hard to get him on the list, guys. So, if you're a fan, you're welcome. We're talking Norm Macdonald, everybody.
Norm.
Norm Macdonald. We were talking about some dirty work. And some, what was that one he did with Danny DeVito? Screwed. Yeah. Dirty Work and Screwed. Now, Screwed alone had me laughing so hard, guys, so hard that I hit this level of tear flow because I was laughing so hard, and I couldn't, you can ask my mom and my dad, like, I couldn't stop laughing at this movie. I loved it so, so much. Dave Chappelle Danny DeVito, and Norm Macdonald. If you haven't seen Screwed, highly, highly recommend it. It's one of the best comedies. It's amazing. It's just so damn funny and so stupid and silly, but I love every minute of it.
I think what I love about Norm Macdonald the most is that he just didn't give a fuck. Like he was kind of one of the biggest rebels of SNL. Like he kind of, and I think he even got kicked off for like at one point because he wasn't doing what they were telling him to do. I think it was when he did Weekend Update. He would, if it was a bad
O.J.
joke,
Simpson.
he'd call it out. Yeah.
Somebody that was a producer or something on the show was a friend of O.J. Simpson and was upset that he kept making jokes of him. And they were like, no more O.J. Simpson jokes, and then he just kept doing it and didn't care.
I mean, Norm Macdonald, for me, is the king of the Weekend Update. I know a lot of the older generations love Dennis Miller. I personally prefer Norm Macdonald. Norm Macdonald, it's weird. He's not really much of an actor per se. He's a total personality, which is why maybe he didn't score better movies. But like, I personally really like Dirty Work, directed by Bob Saget, someone you wouldn't expect to be directing the movie.
Didn't he, Darren? Didn't Bob Saget suck dick for coke?
Whoa. I know nothing about. I know Bob Saget has a very strange stand-up act.
That's in the movie in Dirty Work.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever suck dick for coke?
Yeah.
Did you? No, you didn't. I did.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think my favorite line in that I can remember is Norm Macdonald, who's just he's not an actor, he's a personality, when he's like, "Oh my God, how could you have all these dead hookers in your trunk?"
Yes, the dead hooker skit was the best.
The delivery is what sells it on him.
I mean, he even took his note to self joke and put it in the movie. But Norm's a funny guy. You know, I stood in for him on The Middle for a few episodes. He's really nice, but he is funny.
Yeah.
He's legitimately funny. He's unique, to say the least. His Bill Clinton jokes on Weekend Update were hilarious.
He did a whole stand-up outside of the ArcLight cinemas. Now, for reference, both Darren, Kevin, and myself all worked at ArcLight, and that's how we met in Hollywood. And Norm Macdonald was watching Walk the Line, I believe it was.
Uh-huh.
And he walked out of it, and he's like, "Ah, man, I need a cigarette." He's like, you gotta smoke there, buddy? You know, like a cigarette? And I was like, no. I was like, I don't smoke. He's like, good for you, good for you. You will want to after you watch that thing. Oh my God. Oh, that thing. And so like he kept doing this whole spiel about it, and it was great, just out in the courtyard doing this little stand-up thing just for me personally, and it was wonderful. Like I was like in awe because I loved Norm Macdonald. Jill, just like you did, Norm was my favorite Weekend Update, and Darren's as well. So, big fan.
I'll third that or fourth that.
Fourth it. Yeah, and he actually had a very short-run show called Norm that also starred the father from Alf.
Yeah, and then he had a talk show for a moment.
Yeah.
And also, don't forget that Pete just reminded us that he did play Death in Family Guy for a little bit.
Right. Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Before Adam Carolla took over.
One of the friends in Billy Madison.
Yeah.
The random tag-along friends.
Yep, he was. So it's just a great character actor and a great guy in general. Just a fun guy to be around. Norm Macdonald at number 19. Now we're going to go with number 18. Give me one moment.
While you're typing that up, I just want to say, while you guys all worked at the ArcLight, I just wanted to be known that I had seen movies at the ArcLight Theater. I have patronized them.
Ooh.
So,
did you have a membership card, sir?
What?
Did you have a membership card?
No.
I mean, that's pretty awesome, Jarrett. So go ahead and feel free to join the club of millions of others.
Oh, sweet. One of you.
Okay, since I don't know how to spell her last name, this is what we're getting. Number 18, popping in here is Kristen Wiig.
Yeah, you know how to spell her last name? It's easy. W-I-G.
Okay, well, I kind of got it. I just added more G's at the end.
I could see this causing a bit of a stir. Kristen Wiig is very well known on SNL. Obviously, her movie the title's escaping me right now with the wedding.
Bridesmaids.
Yeah, Bridesmaids was a massive hit film, and I'm sure it's revisited quite a bit. She had really good voiceover work on the second and third Despicable Me movies. You know, Kristen, it's interesting. Like, it looked like she was kind of blowing up for a second. I still think she works a lot. I still think she's well-liked, very popular. I could see her being higher on the list easily, just on Bridesmaids alone. I mean, that is kind of a standard issue classic comedy.
Yep. She was the number one in Ghostbusters, too, right?
Yes.
In the remake.
She was in Ghostbusters as well. Yeah, I mean, Kristen Wiig is somebody that will work a lot. Very good. And she has a distinct personality, which I think is always important when you're a comedian.
Well, let's not forget to her comic pod, so she's going to be playing Cheetah in the Wonder Woman 84 film.
That's true. Thank you, Jarrett. Thanks for mentioning that. And
hopefully one day we'll see it.
One other thing that she's also in, for a little factoid, a little show, unknown show called Joe Schmo, which was a reality parody. What they would do is they hired cast members to play contestants, and they had one person that wasn't in on it that was competing with all these cast members, and they would create scenarios each episode that they would try to follow and get that one person that's not in on it to do things that they would want them to do and like kind of push them along with their narrative. It's an incredibly fascinating show. Actually, I've been watching it recently, and in season 1, lo and behold, Kristen Wiig is one of the main actor characters in that. So I was very surprised to see that and very delighted as well.
Nice.
She plays Dr. Pat. She's a therapist.
So,
good luck with that. She's also in MacGruber, by the way, and she's amazing in that. So, highly recommend MacGruber if you haven't seen that movie. Okay, we're going to go with number 17. And number 17, we have... Now, this one is a name that you'll probably hear a lot, or you have heard a lot, and he kind of snuck under the radar a little bit. And he's done a lot for Saturday Night Live and in television as well, for Fox and NBC, I believe. And that is Andy Samberg.
Andy Samberg. Here's what I'll say about Andy Samberg. Years ago, when, what was it, Funny or Die was like new, like a brand new thing. One of the best groups on that like had the most hits and all that was a group that now we all know called The Lonely Island. And Andy Samberg was the kind of main performer of the group. The other guys were more writers, but would perform in the skits as well. And I always thought they were great. I loved them. And then all of a sudden I hear that all three of them got hired for SNL, where Andy Samberg was going to be a performer and the other two were going to be writers. And I would say Andy Samberg, obviously his movie career, doing great. But what I was not watching SNL at all, but the only SNL stuff I would get sent or would watch would be the Lonely Island sketches because they were hilarious. And I thought they were the only new kind of humor on SNL that we had. You know, it wasn't the same old like joke that we continue on for like 45 minutes. And yeah, so I would say his connection to and his relationship with the Lonely Island is what would make me put him on this list.
His digital shorts, I think he broke the mold with that.
So Andy Samberg, obviously Brooklyn Nine-Nine is a massive hit. Hot Rod is a deceivingly funny movie. My thing with Andy Samberg, a lot of this is like an unfortunate thing with Saturday Night Live. When Andy Samberg was on, he was pretty much really the best part of that show by a pretty large margin. And I feel like he was massively overused.
Yeah.
And it was unfortunate for him that was to happen. And, you know, because people are like, man, I love this guy because he's exposed. You see him all the time. But then after a while, like, I mean, there's only so many things you can do. But I give him a lot of credit for surviving that because, I mean, yeah, you could easily be overused and easily people could get tired of you.
His most recent pandemic release, Palm Springs, is a Yeah.
Just to say, my buddy Andy Ciara wrote that film.
Really?
And, yeah. And,
oh wow, that's great.
And it's good. I like it a lot.
It's fantastic. You tell him I loved it.
But it's different. Like it's good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really good. I went in not wanting to know anything, and boy was I pleasantly surprised. I was I was really entertained. I enjoyed the hell out of it.
Go watch it. It's on Amazon, right? Or
Hulu. It was on Hulu. And they actually played it at the Mission Tiki Drive-In not too long ago as well. So it was on the big screen.
Nice.
Let's see. We've got, oh my God, Jill says, yes, love Joe Schmo. I can't believe somebody else knows that show besides me. Thank you so much, Jill, for I have both season 1 and 2, if you ever need to borrow it, if you need to kind of jump back into it and revisit it. Julio says she was in Cheetah. He's talking about Kristen Wiig. Evan's in. He says, hey guys. Hey Evan. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining. Pete says, love The Lonely Island. Those short skits were brilliant. Bonnie says, Dick in a Box was an instant classic.
Yeah, brilliant.
TJ agrees. He says, really like Palm Springs. And Arm Fall Off Boy says Palm Springs is fantastic. So, thanks guys for agreeing with us on some of this stuff. This is fantastic to get some positive feedback on some of these that we're posting here. So,
but it makes sense because we're right, and so are you.
So let's go to number 16.
Senator Al Franken.
No, he kind of I guess I don't know. He didn't really. I don't know. That's a whole thing. That poor, the whole situation.
He's got like one memorable character on the SNL skits, I guess. Stuart Smalley's kind of funny.
Right.
He had his own movie about that.
Like 2 years too late, though.
Same thing with Pat.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I think he's more of a writer than an actual, in front of the camera comedian. I think he's more of a behind-the-scenes guy.
Okay, so our number 16 is Amy Poehler.
Yeah, this is one that I'm not pleased with. Amy was in my top 10. Just on Parks and Recreation alone, she's just fabulous in that show. I mean, that show has a great ensemble, don't get me wrong. I'm a little biased because I worked a few episodes on Parks and Recreation with Amy. Amy is, as far as improv comedy goes, there's just no actress, in my opinion, at her level right now. I always loved her. Inside Out. She had nice little, roles in there too. Even like Baby Mama is kind of a stupid movie, but kind of enjoyable. And a lot of that is because of Amy Poehler. I just think she's tremendously talented. Gets forgotten a little bit, but I mean, her SNL sketches are good and she's carved out a nice career. I mean, Parks and Rec, they just said, oh, it's like a ripoff of The Office. Well, it's really good. It's really good.
It ended up being
Summer. She had a small part in that.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Yeah,
funny.
And she was also in that one with Tina Fey where she was pregnant, I think, and
Baby Mama.
Yeah, and she was great. Amy was great in that. Amy is really solid in everything she does. She really is. My complaint for not having her up higher on the list is I need to see more Amy Poehler. I don't see her as much as I would like to. I think the last thing I saw her in is she's doing some wood shop job or show or something with Ron Swanson, and like that's it. So right now, and I don't know where she's going with her career and what's happening. So I'm just waiting for the next thing to bump her up higher on the list.
Sure.
You're waiting for her polar opposite?
Hey, there we go. And okay, we're gonna go number 15 on the list, guys. This one, I know Darren had this guy higher on the list, and we kind of bumped him back a little bit, just basically because there's a lot of second fiddle happening with this dude, and that would be David Spade.
David Spade, I mean, he barely would crack my top 10, but his voiceover in Emperor's New Groove, I think, is very underappreciated.
Oh, he's great in that.
Obviously, like, David Spade is a master of sarcastic humor. He's really good in Tommy Boy as Chris Farley's opposite. I think one of his best roles that people forget about is when he plays the leader of the college Republicans in PCU.
Yeah.
He's absolutely hilarious. Joe Dirt, I hate Joe Dirt, but I appreciate Joe Dirt. Like, he's really good in Joe Dirt, and I don't know why, but he's very good in that. And obviously, even Dickie Roberts, former child star, like, David Spade makes that funny, and I like Rules of Engagement with him and Patrick Warburton, the sitcom that was airing on NBC.
True.
So, like, David Spade, I think his humor is very unique. He doesn't stretch out and act a lot. He's kind of his sarcastic self, but it's just very memorable, and I feel like David Spade's very watchable.
I think it's when he's placed in the right context, because, yeah, he is a very specific type of humor. Like, yeah, I will anything him and Chris Farley, that duo, I could watch forever. Like, I love that bounce back and his foil to Chris Farley, and it's just I love that. So yeah, for me, it's that pairing.
What's your favorite baseball team? Is it the Yankees?
Hey, was that comedian Buddy Wackett?
Oh my God, I can hear you getting fatter.
David Spade has had some really great stuff and some really great lines. Recently, he was in a Adam Sandler film where he guys in the chat, if you can remind me, please do. It was where he had to fight, or he was being kind of pushed, egged on to fight another person's dad to prove that he's the stronger dad. So it was like a pissing contest.
Grown-ups, maybe?
No, it wasn't Grown Ups. It was later. It was like a Netflix original, if I recall.
Okay.
So it's been pretty recent, like this year or last year, but it's actually a lot of silly fun. And I think his most recent one that I love the most is The Wrong Missy. Now, that's a Netflix original. In that one, because the lady that plays Missy is fantastic, and I can't remember her name. She was in Orange is the New Black. She was a newer security guard there in one of the seasons. But she plays this character so damn well and plays off David Spade so well. And the two of them are just fantastic in this movie. So if you have Netflix, I really do recommend it. I think I talked my mom into watching it too, and she liked it. And, you know, so yeah, see, my mom just commented. That was good. So thank you, Mom.
Also, just Google David Spade telling old Chris Farley stories. Like, those are the best. Like, because apparently Chris Farley is a maniac.
Yeah.
Shocking. But, like, the behind-the-scenes stuff is great. It's just great.
Surprise! Chris Farley was crazy.
Yeah. David.
Okay, so we're going to move away from David Spade. And we're going to go on to our number 14. Now, our number 14 is a name that everybody will know. Wouldn't have made my list, personally, just because I don't feel that his trajectory while on the show was enough. But you know, he's had a relatively diverse career, so that's what garners him in this spot in this list, and deservingly so. We're talking about Chris Rock.
So Chris Rock, to me, like, and we'll talk about this with other cast members when they get into the dramatic realm, Chris Rock's best performance on film for me is still New Jack City.
Really?
Wow.
And he's not funny. He's not funny, but he's very believable. Chris is an actor. Like, he's more of a personality than an actor. They've tried to give him a lot of stuff from, you know, what's that? The movie Bad Company with Anthony Hopkins, directed by Joel Schumacher. It didn't work out quite so well. The movie that took place with God, I can't remember the name of it. And you know, even like small roles in Beverly Hills Cop 2, Chris is a tremendous stand-up comedian. If you just watch him doing stand-up comedy, he's really, there aren't many better than him. But my big issue here is, once again, a lot of bad roles for Chris in movies. He doesn't immerse himself as an actor in any of these things, and I don't think the writing for his films are necessarily great. Everybody Hates Chris is probably his brainchild. It's pretty funny. Kelsey Grammer helped him co-produce it. But yeah, I just feel like Chris just never really caught on as like a film actor. But everyone loves him because he is funny, and his stand-up is very smart. It's very poignant, and you got to give. I would hesitate to put him on the list like you, Donald, just because of that.
He's doing pretty good on the current season of Fargo right now.
Yep, we just got that comment by Enrique. Enrique said he's on the new season of Fargo. Bonnie says love him in Dogma. Kevin, what's that new film that he's coming out with? It's a Saw brand.
Oh, yeah, Spiral.
Spiral. Yeah,
No,
that's another one.
Actually looks interesting.
It does. It shows potential, and it can actually maybe show a little more range for Chris, which I think is exciting, personally.
Yes. Yes.
And, yeah, Pete just mentioned that. Isn't he working on a new remake called, Saw remake called Spiral with John Cheadle? Yep. Pete, he is. All right, so we're going to move on from number 14 to number 13. Surprise. And let me get rid of Chris here. Sorry, Chris, you got to go. Womp womp. Number 13 is a good one, guys. Yes, isn't that special? We're talking about Dana Carvey. Now, he's had plenty of memorable SNL skits, so let's get on that.
He was great playing President Bush Sr.
Yeah.
He did Bush Sr. and Ross Perot.
Ross Perot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Gonna do it. Ain't gonna do it. Wouldn't be prudent at this measure. I was a kid and I remember that still, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And
Let's not forget Garth from Wayne's World.
Yeah. I mean, Wayne's World, I haven't checked the numbers recently. Wayne's World quite possibly might be the most successful SNL movie of all time.
It might be. I remember it being in the box office at my local theater for at least 2 months.
And to me, like, it's not like dumbed down comedy. It's very niche and very like specific and unique. Like, I disliked that movie for a long time. I always thought the sequel was a little more fun. But upon revisiting it, it is definitely very early 90s. There's no question. But it's kind of a brilliant movie in an extremely stupid way. And Rob Lowe, of course, is great in it and stuff. And someone who's on the list later who I won't mention right now. But Dana Carvey is a very talented guy. He really cut his career way short. You could spend tons of money now if you wanted to see him do stand-up. He only makes very few appearances. But, like, obviously, he did what George Wendt did. He said, I'd like to make family-friendly material for my children. The Master of Disguise, of course, is awful. Dana's not bad in it, but it's awful. Clean Slate, I think, is an underrated comedy from Dana Carvey.
A nice little gem, yeah.
Yeah, and he's a guy he would probably be higher on the list if we saw more of him.
Well, also, I think it was his health issues. Like, he had a doctor or a surgeon botch a surgery on his heart.
Ooh.
Which caused a lot of issues and waylaid him for years. So he got out of the spotlight just long enough for people to move on from him. And unfortunately, he wasn't able to recapture that glory that he had.
His stand-up was pretty funny, too. Like, I remember some of his... He did a Jimmy Stewart just saying, like, wrong things. Like, he's like, yeah, do me, bitch. Do me good.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, and of course the church lady, as Donald referenced earlier, is one of his famous sketches on Saturday Night Live. Tremendously talented guy. I wish we saw more of him.
We've got a lot of comments on Dana, so let's go over them really quickly. TJ says, what's that?
Chopping broccoli.
Yeah, chopping broccoli. TJ Anderson says, Germans who say nice things. Yeah, remember. Bonnie says, he's so great. Yes, he is. Yeah. Angie just has a smiley face. Hi, Angie, by the way. Thanks for joining us. Let's see. My mom says, your dad talks like him all the time. I can attest to this. He does. He does do that still to this day. Ain't gonna do it. My dad does that all the time. Pete says, brilliant character actor. Also, Pete says, apparently Dr. Evil is a Lorne Michaels impression by Dana that Mike Myers borrowed.
Yeah. Borrowed, or they actually had a contentious, they had kind of a falling out over that.
Yeah.
Because they used to do it backstage, or Dana used to do it backstage in SNL, and Mike would, like, love it, and then Mike became good at it too, and then of course used it for Dr. Evil, and
so that would.
But to be fair, a lot of people have done versions of Lorne Michaels because he's such obviously a type of character.
Right, absolutely. Enrique says he's hilarious on the Conan Needs a Friend podcast. I've never heard of that, Enrique, so thank you. Evan Aldrich says my first porn was a VHS called Zane's World featuring Zane and Girth.
Zane and Girth?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, man.
Yeah. And it's always good to re-stress the importance of Wayne's World, which really opened the door to a lot of SNL spin-off movies.
And then we get, Pete says he gets a lot of love on Stephen Colbert, which I did not know. I don't watch it, so thank you, Pete. Arm Fall Off Boy says the Dana Carvey show. I forgot about that. Didn't last very long, to be honest, but it was worthwhile. And then Jimmy says, y'all look like Hootie and the Blowfish. Just kidding. Well, Jimmy, we only want to be with you.
Dude,
yeah.
That video, like, oddly featured Dan Marino in a lot of it.
Really?
Yeah, I only want to be with you. It's all about his Miami Dolphins, man.
Weird.
Yeah, Darius is a big Dolphin fan.
That was a good one.
Okay, we're going to move on to number 12 for time here. Let's go to our number 12 on the list. Oh, snap. Who do we got? Let's see. Who do we have? Who do we have? Who do we have? Kevin, I don't think we have a picture.
I'd be more than happy to introduce her.
You sure about that?
I am 100% sure. In place of Gilda Radner, which is our number 12, we have a picture of Maya Rudolph. So, for comedy purposes, we are going to put the name and title underneath a picture of Maya Rudolph. There we go. Kevin apparently had ulterior motives when he grabbed these photos. He really wanted Maya.
So Gilda Radner really didn't have much of a career. She died relatively.
That's Maya Rudolph.
She died relatively young, at the age of 42. Yeah. But Gilda Radner, even though she didn't have quite the career, I would make the case as far as women on SNL, she's number one by a pretty substantial margin. Her talent was unbelievable. Like when she would play like the little girl character, like she'd play like a little 10-year-old girl. She was amazing. Like, I mean, this is like really unbelievable stuff. Her Janis Joplin impressions were also really good.
Yeah.
Like Gilda Radner was a special talent. You know, a lot of folks that die young, everyone loves to just say, oh man, you know, I mean, what could have been? What could have been? Like, there's no question, like Gilda Radner, if she was living to be 75 or whatever she would be today, we would still be talking about how she transformed SNL, especially for actresses on the show.
Yeah, for female talent on the show, she was trailblazing. And Pete mentions that her death really affected Bill Murray. It did. It affected a lot of the cast, but particularly Bill Murray, because he had a very intimate, kind of a close relationship with Gilda for a while. Yep. Yeah, and it really hurt him on a personal level. And Maria says she's so funny. Yes, Maria, she absolutely is very funny. So, Kevin, so is Maya, who the picture is, and obviously that's who you were thinking of. Maya Rudolph is very funny, too. She didn't make the list, but I do love how you were able to shoehorn her in, so congratulations on that.
It would be an honorable mention for sure.
Yeah,
you know, what's interesting, too, is, like, Gilda, she really established that, like, these folks that do this variety show, SNL, are theater trained, they are improv trained, and you can see, like, Gilda's like a real actress. Like, her movements are tremendous. Her vocal abilities are tremendous. Like, I mean, she gets into character, which is really hard to do in 5-minute sketches. Just unbelievably talented person.
Yep. We're going to move on to number 11, guys. Number 11's going to get us some flack. I'm sure of it. But hear us out on this. Number 11's Chris Farley. He did not crack our top 10 on this. Now, he's definitely deserving of a top 10 status, but there's reasons why. His career was cut short. We don't know where his trajectory would have kept him, whether he would have kept going up and onward, or if he would have bottomed out pretty quickly. Maybe pulled a Tom Sizemore and ended up in D-level films talking about the glory days of cocaine.
Right.
We don't know. So at this point, we just go by his body of work, which isn't a lot, but we can definitely tell there's a ton of talent there.
Yes.
What we do know is that Chris Farley, if anybody has not seen the documentary, it is available on Hulu, and it is fantastic. It's a really good Chris Farley documentary. And it does discuss how much he idolized John Belushi. So much so that he thought that drugs were part of the equation. Alcohol and drugs had to be included in order to be as great as John Belushi.
Yeah.
So Farley did this to himself. And he knew at the time that he was doing this to himself. But it wasn't anything that he was thinking about because everything was going so well for him and he was having a good time.
Yeah. And I will say for the time he was here, God damn, that guy was magical. I mean, from the second I saw that guy in SNL, I was like, this dude is hilarious. Like, he's got so much energy, but he was genuinely funny. It wasn't just like, I'm the heavy guy who can run around and stuff like that. Any little, like, extra add-in, he was hilarious. Even when he got to the movies, when he was doing smaller parts, like, his part as the bus driver in Billy Madison, fucking phenomenal. Like, that Veronica Vaughn is one fine piece of ace. I mean, that guy is hilarious. Obviously, Tommy Boy is. It's so goofy, but it's like the best comfort food ever. Tommy Boy is great. Black Sheep is really fun. Beverly Hills Ninja, meh, but
I love that one.
Yeah, Chris Farley though is just some of the funniest sketches. Matt Foley.
My issue with Chris Farley, he is tremendously talented. I mean, his sketches are probably his best work. I don't really like a lot of the movies he's in. I like him in the movies, but I just don't think they were like really well written per se. And Wagons East, I mean, what a terrible, movie to end your, end on. I mean, he just. I felt like Beverly Hills Ninja had so much potential that was just overlooked. Robin Shaw was not my favorite actor choice in there. Tommy Boy, I actually kind of like Black Sheep a little more only because I laugh more at Black Sheep. But Tommy Boy is clearly a better movie. But it comes down to, like, I never really got into his movies, but I like him. I mean, when he plays that character in the sketches who keeps pulling his pants up with the plaid jacket. That guy's hilarious. Like, if you would have made a movie about that guy, I don't know. I just feel like his movies
Matt Foley.
Cheated at movies.
Matt Foley. And Darren, have you ever had a bowl of chocolate pudding in your underpants?
I sure have not.
I will say Beverly Hills Ninja is one of my top favorites. I have really fond memories. My friend Jen, who passed away at a very, very young age, he was one of her favorite comedians, and we very much enjoyed seeing pretty much anything with him in it. So I love Chris Farley for that reason alone, but also because he always made my dad laugh, like hysterically, like laugh. He was fun. He had a good time. Right behind Jarrett right now is that Chippendale scene that he had.
Oh, one of the best sketches ever.
I mean, and the way they talked about it, he had no shame. He did not care.
It was intense.
And as he shouldn't, Chris Farley was a sharp-looking dude. He was a good-looking guy. He was just overweight. And he really brought it. And Patrick Swayze even admitted it at the time. He was like, he really sold this part. Like, if it wasn't for Farley, Swayze wouldn't have a role in this. And this wouldn't be iconic for him. It's only iconic because of Farley.
Chris is a mad scientist. Like, I think people just see a big, loud guy screaming. There's a lot of method to his madness, which is why I give him so much credit talent-wise. He's one of the 3 or 4 most talented people ever to be on SNL.
Yep.
I'm going to tell you a quick story that it was a David Spade story. And he said they were on SNL, and David Spade was bragging because he was dating like a girl who was like in a Playboy. And he was like, he brought the magazine. He's like, yeah, look, I'm dating her and all that stuff. And then he put the magazine in his office. And I think Chris and David had the same office. So he said Chris came out just cracking up. And he was like, David, go to your office. And he's like, why? And he's like, go to your office. And he's like, okay. And he went in there and he opened the magazine. And he's like, what is all this? And he's like, I jacked off on your magazine.
Wow.
What kind of maniac that dude was, too.
Wow.
I'd like to take a...
Drug. Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
I get a direct...
You're not kidding. Jeez.
I got a direct text message from Junior Jackass Donald. He said Chris Farley at 11. Who the hell came up with this list? Nick? All 4 of us did.
Yeah. Sorry.
He's
Sorry,
top
Nick.
5 for me. I'm just saying.
Sorry, Nicky boy. Little.
Now, Jarrett, you telling us, sir, we just lost a membership, right? Or sorry, a sponsorship because of that comment.
I gotta be on. I gotta go with my heart. You'd be tough.
Right.
Yeah. It was the Charles Bronson Society, I believe, that we lost the sponsorship from. If anybody's ever seen 10 Till Midnight, where he has this thing in his hand, he's like, "What's this for?" "I'll tell you what it's for. It's for jacking off." And then he throws it at the guy. It's great. It's a great scene. It's a great movie, actually. You should watch it. Highly recommend it. It's a camp
Yeah, it
film.
sounds wonderful.
It's a camp. Darren, you'd love it. You'd replay it over and over and over again. Anyway, moving on from Chris Farley, we have to get into the top 10. We're now just cracking the top 10. And I don't think this is a hard one to come up with, as far as like who would be next. Because if you were all keen to what I was saying earlier, Chris Farley said that he emulated this guy in particular and loved him a lot and wanted to be a lot like him. And that would be, if I can find him. Jeez. Kevin, did you give me that that photo? I don't think you did.
You sure? Should be in there.
No. He is not in there. Maybe I forgot him. But we'll just post the name. Number 10, John Belushi. Sorry about not having a picture on that.
If our list was the SNL character with the best sketches of all time, John Belushi's probably number 1. If you're just talking about pure SNL sketches, he was the most popular character in the best cast they ever had, in my humble opinion, if you're just talking specifically about the show. Now, sadly, because his career was cut short and he had 2 movies I didn't much care for, and he had 2 movies that are unbelievably classic. Animal House and The Blues Brothers are 2 of the funniest movies of their era and might be 2 of the funniest movies ever made. And a lot of that's on John Belushi, because I don't know how funny Animal House is without him.
Right. He was it was the zit scene alone with the mashed potatoes. Fantastic. And I think Dan Aykroyd was very keen, very smart to hitch his trailer to John Belushi's tractor trailer or whatever, or car, so to speak, because he had an upward trajectory, and Dan could see that. And
yeah.
They liked each other, and they worked well together, and they wanted to do things and projects together and stuff. So it really affected Aykroyd as well. And we're going to hear more about that. I think the documentary on John, if it hasn't come out, it's coming out soon.
It come out? I'm not sure.
Yeah, so y'all could check that out at some point as well. It'd be a great tearjerker to watch that back-to-back with the Chris Farley one, if you just want to be depressed.
His sketch where he plays an Olympic runner, and they're like, "And what do you owe it all to?" And instead of like Wheaties, it was little chocolate donuts. And it was full of chocolate donuts. And it shows him just eating it, and he's like running a tire, and he's just running his heart out. Little chocolate donuts.
And obviously his samurai sketches, he doesn't even speak words, and he's hilarious.
Mm-hmm. Yep, so John Belushi, number 10 on the list. Number 9, guys, I know a lot of you are going to be happy. A lot of you are going to be happy. Number 9, Phil Hartman, everybody. Phil Hartman.
Hi, I'm Troy McClure. You might know me from... if you just watch Jarrett in his regular life, you'd be like, yeah, that guy loves Phil Hartman. Because I don't know why that guy just had a big impact on me. Like the presentation and the way that he talks and everything. He was the ultimate, on the show, he was the ultimate utility player. Like if you got him in your sketch, like he would serve, like you could have the crazy character, but if you had Phil Hartman as the straight like dad or something like that, you were set.
Oh, those Matt Foley sketches alone with the van down by the river.
Yeah.
Perfect.
What was the one? The caveman lawyer. Fellow ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I'm just a caveman. Yeah. And not to mention his huge array of work on The Simpsons, Troy McClure I just did, Lionel Hutz. I mean, they actually had to retire those characters, which totally could have kept going on, but they were like, we can't do it without Phil. One of my favorite Phil Hartman anythings is in one of my favorite movies, So I Married an Axe Murderer.
Yes.
He plays the prison warden at Alcatraz.
Susan? Wasn't it Susan? Wasn't it?
My name is Sergeant John Johnson, but everybody here calls me Vicky.
Vicky. Okay.
Please follow me. Yeah. Brilliant. I love Phil Hartman. I'm so, I don't know. Losing him and Farley in, like, I think it was the same year.
Yeah.
Was just like.
And it's because they retired from Saturday Night Live at the same time. They left the show.
Yeah.
And I think on the same episode even.
I think so, yeah.
And, you know, like, then they cut out the bitch's eye. And then they pissed into the bitch's ocular cavity.
Ocular cavity.
So like, yeah, Phil Hartman, it's tough, you know, trying to put a list together, putting him in a top 10, because he has limited work, unfortunately. But I think House Guest, he's very underrated with Sinbad. He's very good in that. News Radio.
News Radio, yeah.
Of course, he was quite funny. And, of course, my favorite work of his, Jingle All the Way, where he's absolutely perfect. But the thing with, like, Hartman, I will use the same argument I use about David Spade. Like, Phil Hartman is a very distinct personality. I think he ranges a little more than David Spade does, but, like, he's so memorable. Like, there's just anybody who's doing his work, it's obvious that you're copying him because he's that unique. He's that distinct. And I love how he can go from this really kind of announcery voice to screaming his head off. Like, it's just, it's really impressive. I like Phil Hartman. I wouldn't put him in my top 10, but I'm happy he's there. He is a classic.
A lot of range, a lot of talent, a few comments. We have Rest in Peace. Toy Soldier, says my mom. So I think he was in that.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love Phil Hartman? Caveman Lawyer, says Arm Fall Off Boy. Pete says his Bill Clinton, exclamation point.
Oh my God, it's Bill Clinton. Yeah.
TJ Anderson says
McDonald's and he just
McDonald's
burgers. Yeah.
Yep.
Intercepted by warlords. Yeah, totally.
TJ Anderson says Love Axe Murderer. Jill says Anal Retentive Chef was brilliant.
God, I don't know that one.
Wow.
Now you have to check that one out. It's good.
I have to find that. That sounds great.
Pete says he was an awesome jerk in Jingle All the Way. Yes, Pete, I totally agree.
Amazing.
And Pete also says love Hartman's voice, as do we all. So moving on from Phil Hartman, sadly, who is no longer with us, we're going to move to number 8 on our list. And for those of you that are keen to my Facebook page, I posted a picture of one John Carpenter film to discuss this actor. Simply because I had trouble finding an actual picture of him instead of this other character that kept coming up. So I finally decided to play it a little tongue-in-cheek. We're talking about Mike Myers.
Yeah, baby, yeah.
Mr. Austin Powers himself. Mr. So I Married an Axe Murderer. Mr. Shrek. Mr. has done so much in such a little time. Party on, Wayne. Party on, Garth. He's had so many memorable characters and so many memorable roles. This is definitely is a character deserving, an actor deserving of being number 8 on that list. Definitely in our top 10.
Mike Myers, if you're looking at pure box office returns, I don't want to spoil the list. There might be only one guy that could surpass him from the SNL cast. Mike
also
Myers,
Shrek movie as well.
Yeah, Mike Myers is universally known. Like, everybody, and to me, like, it just goes to show you, he was a fairly good SNL cast member, but he just hit it. He hit it right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he got the breaks, and he didn't screw the breaks up. And I'll tell you, we all know the big stuff that he's done, but a small little role that I really liked him in is playing the announcer of the big hockey game in Mystery Alaska.
Yes, thank you, Darren. That was a really nice treat to see in a fantastic little film that doesn't get much love, and it really should. Mystery Alaska is a fantastic sports film, but a fantastic family film as well. It's a really good movie, guys. Really good.
Yeah, and just one more quick thing. Like, I mean, Mike Myers, you could obviously debate he should be higher on the list because he's so recognized. Like, I mean, the fact to be on SNL and be as widely recognized as he is truly a great feat. And I think we forget about him because he doesn't do much anymore, you know?
Yeah.
But what a great, massive star.
Why
is he another great Canadian comedian?
Yeah.
The SNL cast.
Why he is number 8? Love Gruber.
Let's not forget, though, end on a high note, that he also played in an Axe Murder, the dual role of the Scottish dad.
Yeah. Yeah, TJ's been saying some of his lines. He's like, "Heed! Move!" And like Sputnik, round, but quite pointy in parts.
Dad, how can you hate the Colonel? Because he puts an addictive trick in his chicken that makes you crave it fortnightly. Smart ass.
That's great. All right, so Mike Myers is number 8. Number 7 is going to be one that might surprise people. I don't know how to spell his name, so it's just coming up however it is. Kevin probably spelled it correctly, and I'm going to just rip it. That is Dan Aykroyd.
Legend.
Maybe a little low on the list. Not too low, but this is just some thoughts. Okay. So aside from the comedy, Dan Aykroyd was in Driving Miss Daisy, which is a nice part that I think a lot of people overlook. Spies Like Us, I absolutely think is very underrated. Great Outdoors, very underrated.
So good in Great Outdoors, yeah.
Yeah, Dragnet is a fun little film with Dan Aykroyd and Tom Hanks. Like, I mean, it sucks.
Dr. Detroit.
Oh, don't even get me on. I have Dr. Detroit, but not for good reasons. My Girl, nice little role. Obviously, the Coneheads, like the Ghostbusters. We could just keep moving. But like
Blues Brothers,
I love Dan Aykroyd. I Blues Brothers. Like we could go on and on and on. But haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah,
this is for Arm Fall Off Boy, real quick. Jane, you ignorant slut.
Yes. That is one of the most memorable lines from SNL, I think, in the history of SNL.
Yeah.
It's very memorable. Pete's correct. Pete says, "My stepmom is an alien." Pete, that's actually where I did that line from. I got to get that pie. Yes, that good pie. It's the guy that was the boss or something, and he got electrocuted, and that's what he said when he fell into his car or something when he was electrocuted. So that's a line from that. Another person said, if someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes. That was Pete. And then he also said, nice cameo in Casper, because he did play Ray in Casper as well. Which is fun.
How good was he as the villain, playing himself, but as the villain in Grosse Point Blank with John Cusack?
Oh, so good in that, yeah. So good.
He was. And Evolution. I forgot he was in Evolution. He was great.
That's true. He was. Bonnie
Chaplin too.
Bonnie says, good small part in 50 First Dates. You're right, Bonnie. I forgot about that. Dr. Captain Maria, of course, which is Maria. She says he's busy making booze, which is true. Crystal Skull vodka.
Another gem that he's great in, and in a hell of a cast, Sneakers.
Yes. See, there's always more films that you can think of. Trading Places was another.
My God, how could we forget that?
Fantastic film. Aykroyd is a talent, and he will not disappear. He will consistently put out work, and if it's not in film, he's making vodka. He's just constantly doing documentaries about alien skulls and shit like that, because he's a little wackadoo sometimes. But he's great, and we love him for that, and no one wants to see him lower on this list. Dan Aykroyd is a talent, plain and simple. So we're going to move on from Dan Aykroyd. Number 6 on our list. Number 6, you guys might be surprised that number 6 on our list is either so low or so high. But number 6 is a very good talent. And one that I really pushed for, because I do love her. And not only just her acting, but her writing as well. And that'd be Tina Fey.
30 Rock, head writer of SNL. I mean, her resume is kind of insane.
Date Night, I believe, with
Steve Carell.
Steve Carell, thank you. She was fantastic in that movie. Guys, if you haven't seen Date Night, it's really fun. It's a really good film. Really good comedy. A little gem that people kind of passed by and didn't pay much attention to, but it really is a good movie. Really.
Little high for me. Credit I'll give her, though. She wrote Mean Girls, which is obviously a standard, huge, popular teen film. And it's just, you know, as an actress, very much a personality actress. I think she plays regular about as well as anybody.
Yeah.
You know, she does play a real person. You know, she's not, she doesn't stretch and do these wacky things. But yeah, I mean, clearly a smart actress, a lot of talent as a writer. Yeah, but I wouldn't put her above Aykroyd.
Well, just strictly for her writing alone, and working with Unbreakable and stuff like that, and a lot of other films and TV shows and stuff that she's done over the years. Very good talent, and we're just seeing the beginning of Tina Fey. Let's just put it that way. There will be more. So we're going to move on to number 5.
Top 5. Here we go.
This is a big one, guys. This is a number 5 that you're going to go, wait a minute, this is number 5? What do you have as number 1 or 2? Number 5 on our list is, stop looking at me, Swan! Adam Sandler.
Sandler is such an interesting... He definitely blossomed on SNL. Like, he definitely had some memorable characters, memorable scenes.
So many!
I mean, a ton. And then his movie career was insane. He went from, like, the hottest thing to people kind of disliking him to liking him again. His career trajectory has been one of the most interesting. Obviously, Billy Madison, I love that film. You can't knock that one. And
Happy Gilmore.
Yeah.
The Bob Barker scene is the best.
Yeah. Then after that, it gets a little up and down. But on SNL, he definitely rocked it. You can't, his songs, Lunch Lady is brilliant.
One of my great memories of him is when it's usually with Chris Farley. The Lunch Lady Land song was fantastic, but also him dressed as a woman reading from the food menus to Chris Farley. Or he's dressed as an old man, actually. And Chris Farley's dressed as an old lady, and she's reading the food menus to him. And he's like, "Dear God, I want to die." It's like, just great.
Arguably the most successful SNL cast member. I would make the case for one other who will be coming up. Arguably the most successful. I mean, people say whatever they want about Adam. He keeps cranking out films on large platforms, be it through a movie theater, be it through Netflix. It's like he's still relevant after all these years, which is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And great business sense, great producing mind.
Great production deal.
Yeah. He will try to stretch himself and do drama, which I think is really admirable.
Punch Drunk Love.
Punch Drunk Love.
Yep, I have it listed just above your head, Jarrett. Arm Fall Off Boy just mentioned it.
Yeah, he's something else. I mean, he's an institution. I mean, how could you have gotten through the 90s not watching Adam Sandler movies?
And you can't dismiss his chemistry with Drew Barrymore, with The Wedding Singer and then 50 First Dates. Bonnie mentioned Wedding Singer. My mom mentioned 50 First Dates. Pete says he's a great person. He is now at the point where he does the films he wants with all his friends without being weighed down by studio heads. Such amazing range as an actor. Bonnie also says Spanglish was fantastic as well. And Pete says Little Nicky is number 1 for me. And Pete, I don't argue with that at all, because I think Little Nicky is a surprisingly under-the-radar little gem that he has that most people kind of dismissed because of his weird voice.
Also, let's not forget his comedy albums. I mean, I remember listening.
They're all going to laugh at you.
The Hanukkah one.
Yeah, they're all good. Toll Booth Willie. Fucking hilarious.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, $1.25, please.
Oh, here's $1.25, and go fuck yourself.
Yeah. We could do a whole episode on Adam Sandler. I mean, he's had a career.
Okay, this one's going to get some dispute here, particularly because of his bad attitude. He's the bad boy of Saturday Night Live. The asshole of Saturday Night Live. We're talking about one Chevy Chase.
Oh, God.
Coming in at number 4 on our list.
There's like a city in Maryland named after him, apparently.
There's definitely a Chevy Chase Drive in L.A., too.
That's true.
That's true, yeah.
I personally, I would put him, he was going to be number 2 for me. Chevy Chase, Vacation and Christmas Vacation are 2 of the funniest movies ever made. I mean, it's unbelievable, like, how great he is. Caddyshack, he's like the best character in my view amongst a bunch of great characters. Chevy, he deadpans about as well as anybody. He's just so funny with it. You know, like one of the other guys on our list we'll mention is also a quintessential deadpan guy, but I feel like Chevy's has a little more character to it. Chevy Chase in many ways is dry like Woody Allen's humor. And I think that it's really phenomenal. And Fletch and Fletch Lives, very underrated. Chevy Chase hasn't really made a massive film in, God, almost 30 years, but we still talk about him like he's Hollywood royalty. And don't dismiss Community, Donald, one of your favorites.
True. He was very good in Community. He just couldn't get along with the crew and the cast, unfortunately, and had to exit, I think, as of season 4 or 5. I think it was season 5 he exited, which is unfortunate, but it is the way it is, you know. But, yeah, Chevy Chase, his range alone, if we, what was it, Paul Simon, I believe, he was in one of his songs in a video for it.
Yep, you can call me Al.
There we go, yeah, and he was fantastic in that. One of our friend Rob Antis' one of his favorite actors of all time is Chevy Chase. He loves him with a passion, which is fine. You know, there's a lot of people that could separate the actor from the human being. You know, and that's okay. And you know,
90s Chevy Chase is just awful, and that's bothersome to me. But like even his little part in Hot Tub Time Machine, it was so strange, but it was great. It was great. You know, Chevy is a funny guy.
Pete says, I see him as an asshole version of John Krasinski.
That's good.
And Enrique says, when I get a chance to watch Uncut Gems, Enrique, I will do that, sir. Thank you. And we'll discuss at some point, so I'll have to do that. That's number 4 on our list. So let's go to number 3 on our list.
Top 3.
Now, if that's number 4, imagine what number 3 on our list is. Or who number 3 on our list is.
Anthony Michael Hall.
Yes, you got it. It's Anthony Michael Hall, everybody. Let me pull up his picture of Anthony, definitely of Anthony Michael Hall. And let's see. There he is. All right, Anthony Michael Hall looks oddly like Will Ferrell, or a.k.a. Ron Burgundy, from Anchorman, but it is number 3 on our list is Will Ferrell, guys.
This guy saved SNL that season. Like, he's still one of those guys, I think, that, like, something's wrong with you if you hate him. You can maybe be sick of him or not like his stuff, but if you hate Will Ferrell, that's like hating pizza. Like, there's something wrong with you, you know? You got to find
Kevin.
Hey, Don, you remember when he came to ArcLight for, what's the movie with Sacha Baron Cohen with the race car?
Talladega Nights.
Talladega Nights. He came in to the premiere, or whatever the opening weekend was. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
He had a good time.
Here's what I love about Will Ferrell. He could obviously do wacky into Will Ferrell, you know, that kind of thing. But he can do dark and insane so beautifully as well. Like, to me, I love comedy, a comedian that has levels. His Neil Diamond, look up Storytellers Neil Diamond, and it's Will Ferrell, and I think John Goodman's in it, and it's, oh my God, it's just him doing Neil Diamond songs, but telling, like, way more messed up stories of what they're about.
Goulet.
Like, one time I was drunk and I hit a kid, and then I wrote this, Crack and Rose, it's brilliant.
Yeah, he did Robert Goulet. He was fantastic at that. If you haven't seen the movie Everything Must Go, it's a great little gem. It's a small indie film with Will Ferrell. He kind of plays like a broke-down dude that's just like at his wit's end, and he meets his kid, it's his neighbor, and kind of gets inspired to bounce back a little bit. It's just a fun, fantastic little film. Stranger Than Fiction is another one everybody loves him in.
Blades of Glory.
Elf, of course. Blades of Glory. Anchorman.
Well, I was going to say with Will Ferrell, I think some of his smaller roles are extraordinarily memorable. Like Wedding Crashers, he's in one scene, and he might be the best part of that movie. Old School.
Yeah, you my boy, Blue.
Tank. And something I will say about Will, because I'm kind of on the fence with Will sometimes because he can be agitating at times. But the thing is like, I worked on Step Brothers. I worked with him for a couple days, and they would give me the sides to read on the day. There was almost no script to that movie, just so you know. Like, a lot of that stuff is Will Ferrell improving, and to watch it up close, the man's improv talent is second to none. It's unbelievable, because I used to just think he was a dude that yelled really loud. And when you see his process up close, he's so good at what he does. And he made Step Brothers hysterically funny, because it wasn't on the page at all, I promise you, when I was looking
when
at
John C. Reilly's in the ground, and he's like, what are you doing? And Will's like, I'm burying you. They'll never find where you are. You know, and he's like throwing dirt on him.
Quiet, you'll wake the neighbors.
Yeah, that is the ultimate best. I love him and John C. Reilly when they work together. It's always a hoot.
I think every day I use the word or the phrase from Anchorman, milk was a bad choice.
Also, Enrique just mentioned cowbell. More cowbell.
Yeah, that's a classic SNL sketch.
You can't go wrong. Yeah. I wouldn't be doing this justice if I didn't play the hell out of this instrument. It's great.
Just when he's doing it in his ear.
Oh my God, yes.
Dude, he and I think his wife, Sherry O'Terry, when they play the little piano together and they do the rock songs.
Oh my God. What is it? Maria, what do I always say? It's Dog Show. Dog Show. I think that's also them. It's weird. I know. It's an SNL sketch.
Catalina Wine Mixer.
So let's move on to number 2, guys. We're running out of time here real quick. We're going to go to number 2 on our list, which is unfortunate because these guys have done a lot. Number 2 on our list is Bill freaking Murray. Wow. Kevin, that was a large picture. He's taking up all the space.
Star Wars, nothing but Star Wars. Please don't take my Star Wars away. All right.
Ooh, Ghostbusters.
So no one can be seen right now. I think I can maybe, Darren and I, if we look way up at the top, and our eyes and maybe our nose can be seen, but that's about it.
Jarrett, you love that movie, especially one of those famous lines.
What? Dogs will be eating cats, and cats will be, I don't know, Ghostbusters.
Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
Yeah. You know, my favorite Bill Murray movie is probably What About Bob? It is also maybe the last movie that he played like a highly energetic character. He went to this deadpan thing around Groundhog Day, and it's really kind of defined who he is. Very versatile, a lot of work. Even a little movie like the Sofia Coppola film he was in that got in 2003.
Lost in Translation.
Yeah, I mean, he's really good in that. You know, he's something else. Obviously, I'll let you guys talk about all of his 80s hits and stuff, but I like Bill Murray. I'm almost okay with him being it, too.
TJ says somehow the picture being that huge is perfectly in character for Bill Murray.
He's an institution. He is, like...
Yeah.
He's a religion almost, right?
Hey, Kevin, remember when he showed up at Comic-Con for Hall H? Pete's just reminded me about that.
Yeah, I can't remember which movie it was for him.
It was that one weird movie that did really poorly in the box office. It was like when he went, Constantinople or some nonsense like that. I can't remember what it was, but he finally came to Comic-Con after years and years and years and years and got into Hall H, and he was great. It's just fantastic with the audience.
It was a big deal. It was a big deal.
Oh yeah, Angie, we did see him play himself in the new Zombieland, which was amazing in the credits at the end. Awesome, and in the first one too, he was in that. It was fantastic.
Oh, so good.
Oh, in one of our Tim Burton films, Ed Wood, he plays the guy who's going through a sex change.
Yes.
Mexico was awful,
but you know, Bill is.
That's it. Julio has it, guys. It's Rock the Cashba.
Oh, Bill also too. Like once again, he's iconic. Like when you think of Bill Murray, you think of his personality. He's one of a kind.
By the way, he has no agent. He does it himself. You gotta track him down when you want to book him for a movie, and he'll respond if he wants to.
Right.
Yeah, he's actually screwed himself out of movies many times doing that because he'll call like after they're halfway through filming and be like, yeah, I'll take the role. And they're like, we're already filming, Bill.
Yeah, and I think one of the great roles that he passed up was Bad Santa. I think he would have been tremendous in that role.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, that would have been interesting, yeah.
Maria just reminded me about Candy Bar, Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh my God, him and Steve Martin together.
Yep.
I think the only time I've seen them together.
So Pete says number one has to be Eddie Murphy or Kate McKinnon. McKinnon? Oh, Pete, it ain't Kate. I'll tell you that much. We're moving on to number one. Number one is, drum roll please.
Numero uno is...
It is one, the only, the rock star of SNL, Eddie freaking Murphy.
My girl wants to party all the time, but that video with Rick James is such 80s gold. God, go look up that.
Yeah, he's an easy number one for me. This guy had quite possibly the greatest run of movies in the 80s you could possibly imagine. Starting at age 21, he was in 48 Hours, which, I mean, with Nick Nolte, is that you could see the scene when he walks in with the cowboy hat in the bar. That kind of made him a star right there. Trading Places, Golden Child, Beverly Hills Cop, Coming to America, reinvents himself in The Nutty Professor, does actual good drama work in Dreamgirls. I mean, Eddie is just... There's a reason he's $20 million for every movie, guys. I mean, this dude's amazing. Even Bowfinger, he's really good in. Eddie's he's the king for me.
He doesn't phone it in.
40 years.
He supports the transgender community. There's nothing this guy can't do. His stand-up career is excellent, phenomenal. He even went back to it and dipped his toes in it recently. So it's great to see somebody that's a family man, that's doing well for himself, continue to just strive to do excellent work and to continue to just keep going and continue to try to get these gigs and do these films. His most recent film was on Netflix, and that was the I'm failing on the name, guys.
Dolomite.
Dolomite is my name, yeah. He just did that one, and he was phenomenal in that as well. So anything Eddie Murphy touches is basically some type of gold, unless it's Pluto Nash.
And he sorry, Jarek, to cut you. He also revolutionized the action comedy. Nobody does it better than Eddie.
Yeah, Beverly Hills Cop was. I mean, that was like one of the first movies as a kid. I think I saw like 2-3 times in the movie theater, and would quote it at school and stuff like that.
I'll have to go back and watch that. Watch the whole trilogy, because they're all a lot of fun. And getting Judge Reinhold more work is never a bad thing.
No, he needed it.
Yeah.
George Lucas
Santa
in the
Claus.
third movie.
Arm Fall Off Boy says Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. That's a good one.
Oh yeah.
Pete says can't wait for Coming to America 2. Pete, neither can we. I think that one's going to come to a streaming platform though now. I think is what they're talking about doing. His stand-up was brilliant. Arm Fall Off Boy says Pluto Nash. Yes, we know. Angie,
Brooklyn guys.
Yeah, Vampire Brooklyn. Angie says, I can hear my mom saying, you know, I shouldn't be letting you watch this. And me laughing my ass off at Delirious. Yes, Angie, I can see that totally.
You know, one of my favorite stories about Eddie Murphy's Beverly Hills Cop is Beverly Hills Cop was actually an action film starring Sylvester Stallone, and Cobra was an action comedy starring Eddie Murphy. And they actually flipped, but they didn't rewrite the scripts. So all the comedy in Beverly Hills Cop is actually improv from Eddie Murphy. And Cobra takes a kind of funny script and makes it as serious as a heart attack.
Yeah, the cutting the pizza. So random.
You're the disease, I'm the cure.
Pete says, I want to see a Beverly Hills Cop Lethal Weapon crossover. That sounds amazing, Pete.
Oh, yeah.
And Jill says, sorry, but the Haunted Mansion sucked. And Jill, it did. And I hope they remake that one. That is one I do hope for a remake.
And Jill, let me add to that. Holy Man, Boomerang. God, I could go on. He's had as many bad movies as he does good movies.
Yeah, it's true. He's had some clunkers for sure. But he's definitely left his stamp in the movie industry and in the superstar industry when it comes to SNL alumni, Hall of Famers. He's definitely number one. I don't think there's another choice. Bill Murray, dips his toes real close to Eddie Murphy, I will say. Real close. But because of Eddie Murphy's versatility, I think that puts him just above. And with that, I think we're done. We're done with our list. It's after 9 o'clock here in the Pacific time world on the West Coast. So thank you all for tuning in and for listening to the Real Short Box. We are doing these usually once a week, although during the holiday season I think we will start to stagger these a little more, these live ones. But please keep your eyes peeled for our posts and stuff and advertisements for these. You can find us on Rumble Spoon Productions on YouTube. We do the live ones, like I said, about once a week, 7:30 p.m. Pacific time. We also have a podcast that we have on multiple podcast streaming platforms that you can find us on. Gentlemen, let's hear some of these platforms.
Google Play, iTunes,
Spreaker, iHeartRadio,
Stitcher,
your mom's house.
I don't think that's one of them.
Donald, I think it's also pertinent, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, but even if we don't do the lives during the holiday, we still will be releasing content, correct?
Yeah, we'll still be releasing an audio podcast, usually about once a week. I know last week we did miss last week. I'm sorry. I'm usually the one that posts those, and I got a little busy and a little distracted, so I apologize for that. But we will have a new one up. We're going to have a holiday-related podcast, all coming for the holidays. I think this week we're going to be posting one where I interview Pete, and we discuss Pete here in the chat section, where we discuss holiday films that he really loves, classic films and fun films that he enjoys as well as I. So please tune in for that one. That's going to be a lot of fun. And Pete, sorry if I didn't mention that to you sooner, but I just remembered to do that. So please tune in for that. Thanks again, everybody. And hopefully someday, when we're out and about, we will see you
at the sweet, precious, safe, homely comic book
shop. I want to thank our musical guest, Soundgarden. Hey, everybody. I want to thank John Goodman, our host. Yeah, all right.
Don't forget G.E. Smith on the Sound.
Please subscribe. Tell your friends. Subscribe. Thank you. Be safe out there.
Yep. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you for tuning in and listening.